Hello and welcome to Crux Investor. We spoke earlier today to Chris Gertison, who is the CEO of Nova Minerals. They're an ASX gold explorer with assets up in Alaska. If you want our thoughts and opinions on that conversation and the company itself, you can find that at cruxinvestor.com/club, where you can also find detailed company reports, commentary from market experts from around the world on a variety of commodities and the macro. There are training videos there as well. And we also do summaries of other company interviews that we've done. And there's a community of investors sharing their thoughts and ideas with each other. And if you go there now and sign up for the waiting list, you can get into the 7-day free trial. And of course, we'd love your feedback and thoughts as well. So do give us a like, leave your comments below. And if you want to see what we talked about, take a look in the description. Chris, how are you doing, sir?
Good. Good to be with you today, Matthew.
It's been a long time. It's been a year, Chris. It's our anniversary.
That's right. It's been a long time. Lots happened in this last year, and I'm very happy to be able to update you on that today.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. Like last time we were in London, we got to speak to each other face to face. You laid out your plans then. I'm really keen to kind of catch up with you and share the story with these guys. So why don't you give everyone a 1-minute overview of what your business is, and we'll kind of dive into what you're doing.
Okay, so Nova Minerals, our flagship is the Estelle Gold Project here in Alaska. And if you recall, last year we had a 2.5 million ounce resource. We've really ramped things up this year. And we recently released an interim resource, 3.3 million ounces. And that's only a first step towards our guidance for next year, which is 5+ million ounces. We're located here in the Tintina, one of the most prolific belts in terms of discoveries and production in the recent decades. And we have an intrusive related gold system, very large gold system. And these are marked by 20, 30-year mine life, heap leach type operations, world class.
Beautiful. Okay, look, it has been a year. When I last spoke to you, you had a few other things going on. I think, both Avi and Louis were looking at, the optionality around lithium. You had some project in Australia too. Can we just sort of park those outliers so we can get to focus on Estelle properly, if you don't mind? So what's happening in Australia? You had a JV with Newmont, for instance.
That's right. So that's the Officer Hill joint venture. And Newmont's that nicely with drilling. It's it's going ahead, and there's not much news to report there. In terms of the Snow Lake Lithium project, we're looking for the best value for our shareholders. We're actually gearing up now to start a PEA, a scoping study on that as well, coming here very soon in the coming months next year. And so that's progressing nicely. Remember, that's a cash flow ready project. So that's a direct shipping ore potentially to the Tango mine, and there'll be some news flow on that in the coming month.
Right. So what's happened there? Because I hear you with regards to Australia. You'll let us know when there's something to say. With the lithium project, a year ago, you were saying 12 to 18 months you want to be cash flowing. So obviously something you were looking at partnering with a Chinese partner there. So something's changed. So what have you guys changed in terms of your thinking?
Right. So, the lithium market has been a bit depressed in the last year or so, but it's starting to come back. It's starting to come back for sure. And with the recent Piedmont deal with Tesla, and so we're looking. There's definitely a resurgence in the interest in lithium. Remember, our project is what we call Auto Alley, which kind of comes through North America from Texas up through Manitoba where we are, and so we're looking to again progress that project, to develop it for sure. And to look at some other arrangements, perhaps in a similar vein to Piedmont.
With the spodumene project. Right, but you guys are talking about shifting.
Correct.
You guys were talking about shifting, or literally doing nothing with it, just shifting it down the road by rail and working with this Chinese partner who had processing capability. So again, are you saying you changed your mind because the market conditions had changed, or did the deal not work out with the Chinese?
No, not at all. So that deal's still on the table, and we're still working with that partner and looking at that. But we're also looking at other options. You have to keep your options open. And with the resurgence in the lithium market, we're getting quite a bit of interest. We're looking again at maybe perhaps doing some value adding there. perhaps. But nevertheless, either way, we will be progressing to a PEA study very soon, in the very near future.
So you're gonna start a PEA study. Have you got the money to be able to do that?
Right. So we'll be we're looking at that now to fund that PEA. And also, I should mention, well, because one of the highlights that of recent is the Manitoba government is really pushing resource projects in the province there. And so we've managed to tap into matching funds with the Manitoba government to do we just received some cash to do some geophysical surveys, and there'll be more. We're applying for more, and there'll be more to come to fund some more drilling and some of the PEA studies. So the Manitoba government's really getting to push resource projects, with Snow Lake being one of their higher priority projects that they're looking at funding with matching funds.
Okay, excellent. So you have the cash today, and they will match the funds that you use at Snow Lake on the lithium project to start a PEA. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Gotcha. Fantastic. Good. Okay. Well, let us know when that. I'm sure you'll let the market know when that begins and that process. And when you say add value, what's the end game there for you? Deliver a PEA and then just ship it off, or spin it out, or what's value add mean?
Right. When I say add value, so do the flotation and the concentration to 6% spodumene on site with our own plant. Because remember, we have options to not only ship down to the Tanco mine, but also within numerous potential customers in the Otto Alley, as well as we have the Port of Churchill to the north of us on the rail line as well. And they're really looking for some commercial activity to be shipping to the Church of Port Hill and off to markets, Europe and such, off to the east.
Okay, so that's going to be interesting.
There's potential for that.
So that's interesting. So if you're going to produce your own spodumene, there's going to be some technical know-how. You're a gold guy, right? You're going to have to bring in a partner to help you do that. Was that yet to be decided?
That's yet to be decided. So we haven't looked at any potential partners in terms of mining or processing at this stage. We'll do that on our own.
Right, because that's not only a skill set, that you need to probably bring some money to the table as well, because that's a very expensive process. Right. Okay. Well,
so in terms of money to the table to develop and progress the project forward, a number of options there have stepped forward.
Okay. I'm going to park it. We'll come back to that another time. Interesting. Like I say, lithium's slightly depressed place at the moment, but a little bit more noise off the back of Battery Day and things like that, especially with the Piedmont deal you mentioned. Should we talk about gold? Way more fun, right?
Yes.
Way more fun.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Estelle. So what's happening?
Lithium's coming back, Matthew. Lithium's coming back.
I know.
It's still there.
It's all about timing. It's all about timing, Chris, as you know. So let's talk about Estelle, because it's very gold frothy, very good gold environment, very frothy environment for gold. So what have you done in the last year since I last spoke to you?
Right. So we really ramped things up from last year. Remember, we had that 2.5 million ounce resource, which was just above and beyond even our expectations. And so based on that, we decided to really ramp things up this year. We brought in a permanent camp, and we've established permanent infrastructure to be able to operate year round there. And we embarked on a 25,000 meter, 48 hole drill program in about April, May this year. And at this stage, we've completed that initial drilling program, but based on what we've encountered, we've added additional drilling. So now we believe we can get up to 40,000 meters drilled this year with 3 rigs operating. And we're now up to about 60 holes that we've drilled. So it's been full steam ahead for us in terms of what we control. We've had a slight bottleneck with the assay turnaround, 8 to 10 weeks out. So our initial plan was around this time of the year to, based on that 25,000 meters, to release a resource, a global resource. However, the data hasn't all come back yet. And so we decided to release this interim resource, which only includes 16 of the holes. And just based on that, where else can you drill 16 holes and increase your resource inventory by 800,000 ounces? And so that interim resource is 3.3 million ounces, one small step towards our guidance for next year, which is plus 5 million ounces, which will incorporate all the 48 holes plus the additional drilling we're doing. Now, into the foreseeable future, into 2021 and beyond, we expect to be able to drill another 80,000 meters next year. And so we've commenced our PEA here at Estelle with additional metallurgical test work. That's already started. We're in the final throes of signing an agreement with a very reputable engineering firm and financial modelers to take us through to the PEA and beyond to the feasibility study. We plan to release the 2021 about mid 2021, and then go straight into PFS drilling. Then in 2022, we'll be commencing our feasibility study, and in 2023, 2024, we'd like to have a decision of mine. So we're really on the fast track here on our path to production.
Yeah, you definitely are. I mean, I've no doubt that you want to fast track it. So let me just try and explain to people what you're doing here. So the types of grades you're finding, they're quite low grade across the board, aren't they? I mean, this is a bulk project.
That's right. So relatively lower grades, but remember, these heap leach style operations are some of the most profitable mines in the world. And certainly grade is in the king's court of important aspects of any type of operation. But there's many other things. Recoveries are one. Recoveries. If you look at a heap leach style operation, what our peers here in the Tintina Gold Province produce gold at 55 to 60% recovery. Remember, when you take material that you mine and you have to crush it down to a smaller size fraction, that uses an immense amount of energy. So that's very costly. So even some mines that get, say, 90, 95% recovery, they've spent an extraordinary amount of money to try to crush it down and pulverize it to basically fine dust to get that type of recovery. Whereas if you can have a heap leach operation and take it run of mine, just dig it up, put it on a heap leach pad, you can produce gold at recoveries in the 55 to 60% range as far as our peers go, at an incredible profit. Some of the most profitable mines in the world. These guys are producing at $600 to $800 an ounce gold. And what sets us apart is that on our early stage metallurgical test work, we have 76% recovery already. This is before our current, the results of our current next stage of metallurgical testing has even been completed. And so we only expect that number to go up. That's huge to the bottom line. That's huge to the bottom line. The other thing about these intrusive system, which allows you to produce at such a low cutoff grade in terms of the economics, is the ore body geometry. So you're not talking about a narrow vein structure, very narrow vein structure. The ore body geometry is like a giant blob, like a big ellipse, like a large zeppelin in the ground. And so when you go and dig it up, your ore loss in your dilution, your waste dilution, isn't that big of a factor, because when you're mining, the boundary between ore and waste, you don't encounter that. Very small amount of the surface area of the total deposit is actually the ore waste boundary. And so everything you're digging up is basically pay dirt, right? And even where the ore waste is based on a certain cutoff, when you go beyond that, you're not going into complete waste rock. It's just, you're just mining a little bit less gold. So it still has gold in it. And so these type of features of the ore body with the intrusive related gold system make these extremely profitable. Remember, we're also on the surface. So the mineralization starts on the surface, open pit style, heap leach operation. As I said, 20, 30-year mine life. And it just makes for just fantastic economics.
Yeah, there are lots of bulk operations around the world making money. I'm just wondering how you're planning yours, though, because again, it's early days. You've got quite an aggressive drill program going on there, and you've outlined a very aggressive delivery schedule. And 5 million ounces guidance for next year is great. Do you think that's going to be enough to make the market pay attention? There's lots of Canadian stories with way more than that at the moment, and they're struggling.
Right. So the 5 million ounces is our lower guidance, by the way. We have at the Korbel at the Corbel deposit, we have a number of geophysical anomalies which we're targeting, and we call them initially target A, B, C, and D. And so what we're talking about, where our resource is currently focused, is on targets A and target B, right? And so target A and target B have now converged. So we call that Corbel main. And this is where our guidance is for the 5 million ounces. We've already poked some holes into target D, block D we call it, and we're seeing sheeted quartz veins there with arsenopyrite, very indicative of the mineralization. The target C and target D are larger and actually stronger anomalies, same geophysical signature as A and B were, and we're already seeing the geology there to show us that just based on that alone, we'll be able to double the size of the resource. Remember, 10 million plus ounce deposits are not uncommon here in our neighborhood, right? You got Pogo, you have the 40 million ounce Donlin Creek, Kinross, Fort Knox, Victoria Gold, 10 million ounces just alone at Corbel. And so what we're talking about is just the Corbel deposit. Remember, we have a 220 square kilometer claim block out here, and with 15 other known prospects at various stages of advancement, which we're also have been doing exploration over the summer. And we have some fantastic results coming from RPM, which is right down to the south, the prospect to the south. We have a historical drill hole there of over 100 meters at over a gram, and we'll be following that up. Very soon there'll be some more news coming out with some of the sampling that we've done down there. So look out for that. Also Shoeshine prospect. So we're really unlocking a district here, Matthew, right? So we'll have a central mine processing facility at the Corbel deposit, and then over the years have a pipeline of other prospects coming from these outer lying areas that'll feed into that. And so 5 million ounces plus for next year, but we expect with our drilling to continue into the foreseeable future nonstop, that we'll easily achieve that and go above and beyond in the year and years to come.
How do you finance that? I mean, are you going to? I mean, in reality, be straight with me. Are you going to offload Thompson Brothers or Officer Hill?
We don't really need to do that. So we have $13.5 million in the bank right now. So we're very cashed up. We're very liquid, and we have a number of parties now. People are really the smart money, as they say, are really starting to take notice of what we have here at Estelle, world class, and a number of mandates on the table. So we have we certainly can choose our own direction to give us additional funds to take us through the feasibility and then stick with us for to develop the actual operation. So money is not really a problem for us right now.
Nice. So you got some mandates on the table from smart money, like for how much?
Absolutely.
No, but how much?
Several.
And when?
Well, I can't reveal too much right now, but certainly we're in talks to be able to easily fund what we're trying to achieve through next year and beyond.
Okay. End of August, you saw a huge spike in your share price. What was going on there? Because I noticed around the same time you released a press release about high-grade gold rock samples, or was that more about expired options? What was going on? Both actually. So remember, our share price was a bit depressed during the I'd say summer months. Summer in Alaska, I guess that'd be winter in Australia, but because we had the options were expiring at the end of August, so our share price was a bit depressed due to those dynamics, and so that was released in when the options expired on October 31st, and since then, the market has re-rated us to what we are actually at a price level we're supposed to be, based on our current resource and the guidance that we're giving and the successes that we've had with our resource, building up this resource. Remember, there's a number of reputable analysts and that have a price target. Barry Dawes in Australia would be one of them. Have a price target at 20 cents. What is he looking at? He's looking at that guidance of plus 5 million ounces. And so the market, we're just being priced to what we truly have here. We're with what we have internally, we're $1 billion company, Matthew. We're $1 billion company, and the market's starting to realize that. And so
That's one thing. Also, with our drilling, in terms of what we have here, with our drilling, remember, when we embarked on this drilling program this year, we really stepped out to see if we can find the Korbel deposit, as well as capture tons. Tons are king. Volume is the game with these intrusive related gold systems. Now, we've managed to capture a lot of tons. We've gone from almost 200 million ounces to 200 million tons to 300 million tons in this current resource. And by next year, we should be up into the 4 to 5 tons, around that half gram per ton range. And so we've managed to capture the tons, but we haven't managed to find the limits to the Korbel deposit. In fact, it's just getting larger and larger. And so with that drilling, we've intersected some much higher grade feeder zones, especially down to the southeast of Block B. And what we're now doing with our additional drilling is focusing in on those feeder zones in those higher grade areas, and the market's taking note of that. People that are following our news flow know that we got some really good results coming up based on that.
Okay. So where's the smart money from? Australia or Canada?
All over. So, mainly Australia. We're an Australian listed company. So our main focus has been Australia, but also North America.
Right. Okay. And what can you tell us about the drill results? We know the grades, but in terms of, because the big moment's going to be around the metallurgy, right? So that's when you're going to know a bit more about the economics. You're doing a PEA at the moment. So what's the timing on that?
So the PEA, the metallurgical test work has started already, and we're looking at heap leach. So some column test work. We're looking at CIL, conventional CIL. With some bottle roll, more detailed bottle roll test work. Also, we're looking at ore sorting. So ore sorting technology has just come a long way in recent years, and we have one of the world's leading experts that's actually worked on our Snow Lake project, and he looked at our ore here, and he said this is just perfect ore for ore sorting. And so ore sorting will be able to ore body by, in some cases, 10, 12 times. Those results, we'll see what the results have, but we have we're very optimistic about the results of the ore sorting. Now, that's our metallurgical test work. That'll be released with the PEA come mid-year. We'll also have the new global resource estimate, incorporating all the 48 holes and even more, 30,000 meters, come early 2021. Then we'll begin our mining studies, with our pit optimizations. And so we expect the PEA to be released in 2021. Well, in terms of processing, what we're looking at, so the bulk amount of the ore will likely be heap leach, will be heap leach. But internal to that, with the ore sorting upgrades, as well as these higher grade feeders that we're encountering, we'll probably have a CIL circuit as well to process some of that higher grade material. So we'll have numerous processing streams.
Okay,
is what it looks like to us.
Okay, so you live up in Alaska, right?
I do, yes.
So, and is this a 12-month a year operation, or are you going to be restricted in any way? Right.
So, yes, it is a 12-month year operation. Remember, we brought in a permanent camp last year, and that's been established. We have all the infrastructure in place. We have a great airstrip, 4,000-foot airstrip, so we can bring in very large planes like the DC-3. And we're drilling out there right now. In some ways, it's easier to operate in the winter, because in the wintertime, we have a snow road, and that's where we bring in a lot of our equipment and a lot of our camp units and things like that. So yes, we put ourselves in a position where we're a year-round operation.
Okay, and so with the $13 million, how much more of that you got to spend on the actual infrastructure, or is it all going on drilling?
95% in the ground. So we have our infrastructures in place. Our camp, it's a matter of adding, another sleeper here, and another small logging tent there. But in terms of the major infrastructure, and that's all in place now. So everything's in the ground, 95% of it.
Beautiful.
Is drilling.
And how's it been with regards to like COVID there? Is it affecting? I know you said assays are a bit slow coming back, 8 to 10 weeks versus I suspect 2 weeks. But in terms of getting personnel up there, being able to drill, are you being slowed down any?
Right. So the things that we're in control of directly, no, we've been full steam ahead. Alaska's, I guess, more going the Sweden model, Matthew. We've been open since May, We do, we're being smart about it, obviously. Every time we have very good testing up here, and anytime someone goes into the camp, they get a test, and so we haven't had any issues. We're naturally 6 miles apart up here as opposed to the required 6 foot, I like to say. So in terms of slowing us down, no. Now, there has been a bit of a bottleneck with the assay lab due to, it has been high season, so a number of other projects have been putting samples in the lab, as well as they haven't been able to put full crews on this and that 8 to 10 week turnaround, which is why we felt that we had to update the market with this interim resource, which is what we did, which only has the 16 holes. There's another 30, 40 holes to come for the global resource.
Okay. And since I spoke to you this time last year, you're 4 times the price. Okay. You've quadrupled in your share price, which is really good going. A lot of that, gold's doing what it's doing. I think that's a big part of it. But you guys have also are going along at a lick here as well. How much of your lithium project and your Australian project do you think the market is giving you credit for in that 170 million market cap?
At this stage, the recent price moves, I would say that would be a minor component. This has mainly been based on the gold project, Estelle. This is a world-class gold district, and that's what the market is pricing in. And so, when further news flow comes for some of these other operations, Snow Lake comes, that'll only add to the share price. And so, right now the market is just getting started in our opinion. The share price movement. So this is all about the Estelle Gold project. The market's starting to catch on that we're onto a world-class district here.
Nice way to finish, Chris. Thanks for the update. It sounds like you guys are motoring, and well done on that one. I would be keen to catch up with you and sort of see how you're getting on with the drill program and the PEAs when you've got a bit more news. Stay in touch.
Absolutely, yeah. So we're just getting started, Matthew. The best is yet to come, and I look forward to the next update.